On a scale of excited to terrified, where do you land with AI now and why?
Yeah, that's a great way to think about the barometer. I was super, super excited. I'm still super excited, but I was leaning heavily on the excited spectrum 6 months ago and plus. And then over the past 3 months or so, because things have been moving so fast, I would say I'm probably 70% excited, 30% terrified. So we'll have to see. I think that there are there are more and more questions coming up, right? Just because of the speed of change. And I worry about how to address it, especially for my level, right? Where I've got to provide guidance. I've got to provide vision, right? And so understanding what that higher value work is, I think is going to be more and more challenging as time passes. Fortunately, for the short to medium term, I've got more excitement than worry because I think we at least have that vision around what is that higher value work, right? And things like that, like we talked about context and whatnot.
I think with every disruption, there's opportunities to reinvent, right? The problem with AI that I see is, and I don't think anyone's not noticing them, but I think the rate at which things are being disrupted is so quick that it's just becoming overwhelming. You just have to force yourself to think differently.
Yeah, it is. Another thing I find interesting across the industry is typically in an age where you have massive innovative change that's disruptive, right? It's the startups that really, really take charge and really show the opportunities. And this time around, you've got a lot of the incumbents, right? Whether it's Google or, Facebook or Grok, on X and whatnot, that are really doing a good job of staying relevant and staying on top of the technology, right? I think there are still plenty of opportunities for smaller startups, but I feel like we've hit an age where incumbent companies are a lot more nimble as well, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out right across the landscape.
Would you say that's still true for software companies? Because we saw in the last 3 months where a lot of the software companies' stocks took a big hit because everybody had this fear of AI is going to disrupt the SaaS companies. Would you say that incumbents in that space have done a good job, or they are still trying to figure out how do we position ourselves, especially with AI coming?
Yeah. I personally think that that was an overreaction on the market, right? It's not, doom and gloom in the immediate future, right? If anything, it's going to have to shake out over time still, just because a lot of these decisions are hinged upon humans making decisions, right? And so it's not going to move that fast. In terms of software companies, absolutely. I mean, just like non-software companies are thinking about AI, software companies are even thinking about AI even more, right? And so, yeah, I think that as far as I can tell, as far as my senses from, what I've seen, there's there's nobody turning a blind eye to AI, right? Everyone's trying to really figure out how to take advantage of it, and so I think that's wonderful, right? I think that we've hit a culture and we've hit a phase, I guess, in communication where there's just so much information. There's a lot less lead time as a result, right? And so things are not only moving fast because AI is moving fast, but because that's how our work environment works now, right? And so again, that makes it pretty exciting. I think the software companies will find their competitive edge. We'll have to see what that looks like. And I think it's one of those things we'll probably see it by the end of the year, right? It's going to happen pretty quickly.